like, you could close your eyes or settle your eyes to one thing. And just as if you were welcoming a guest to your home, welcome yourself. And wait for yourself. A lot of what has shown up for me when it feels like attempt to practice. And as I've heard with some of you, my stress level is high, just as if you were waiting for a guest, putting out flowers, creating ambiance, so that it's like you're romancing your soul and your spirit to come home. And as we heard so much, for those of us who have been in the building of this home that we call Four Corners Yoga and Wellness, we've created a lot of conditions and causes that allow people to welcome different parts of themselves and different parts of their identities home. And that is something that I feel incredibly proud of all of us for the consistent ways that we've all shown up to provide that for each other. And as the intent for today, seeing if there is a part of self that might be a bit hidden that could use some nurturing. And the term I like to use when it feels hard to show up and there's resistance is this self-nurturing discipline. How do we discern what is being forceful in a way that is not useful and what is a way that is the type of self-nurturing discipline which helps us to live into the person we most want to be and have the experience we most want to have. And on a physical level, we're going to be working neck, shoulders, hips. So just sensing into if you have your spot, both the psychological spot of a part of yourself that could use shining the light of self-nurturing discipline and awareness, and also noticing your physicality of neck, shoulders, and hips in particular. And as our way in today, if you are in a place where it is safe and you feel comfortable putting your 3 middle fingers, index, middle, and 4th finger, gently on your eyes, do so. And otherwise it is possible to do the same exercise by bringing your attention and see if you can get a sense of the energy of your eyes, which will give you information about your nervous system. So just sense the energy of the eyes, giving your eyes the suggestion of softening the muscles of the eyes. And then again, ever so gently, taking some small massaging circles, if it feels okay for your eyes, in a clockwise direction, massaging the eyelids and the eyes ever so gently, using like a velvet-like touch. Staying with this connection of going inside and being with yourself. As you're ready, you could switch directions. And then gently releasing that, creating some friction with your hands. And then placing your hands somewhere on your neck that would give you an anchor to help you feel into the neck. So it might be like what I'm doing. You might combine jaw and neck. And the skill that we work with here is called focused breathing. So when you place your mind and attention onto a spot, as you're taking a deeper, high quality breath, you're in conscious communication with this spot. And again, just like waiting for someone, ideally waiting for them patiently in a loving way, waiting for yourself patiently in a loving way. Befriending each part. And then the next hand position in our pranayama, which is focused breathing, you can stretch the hands open and then either place your fingertips into armpits or any other way that gives you some information about your shoulders and the connection into the whole shoulder girdle. Perhaps noticing if there's any asymmetries side to side in the shoulders. And just keep coming back to this patient way of waiting for you. Taking all the time you need to get each breath. And then we'll do two more hand positions. Next hand position, either hand and hand on the same side of the rib cage or perhaps crossing over. And then expanding the ribs into your hands. Sensing this incredible architecture of the rib cage that the shoulders drape on top of like a cloak, softening the shoulders with the support of the breath. And then the last hand position, finding your active hands and then holding on to the top crest of the pelvis, lifting the rib cage away from the top crest of the hips and letting your hands be an anchor to direct your focused breathing into the hips. Taking any amount of movements in the jaw so that the energy can settle and you can ground into sit bones, rooting into whatever they are sitting upon. And then letting the hands rest wherever is comfortable and washing the breath throughout the whole body, through all of the places we just checked in with. Sensing the whole of the body together. And let's come into some wrist stretches. So you can stay seated. We've been seated for a bit. So if you want to shift positions, if you're cross-legged, you can switch the cross of your legs. Stretching the arms out. And then first taking some movements that just give you some play and some information, moving the arms. And then settling into arms straight or micro bending the elbows, flex at the wrists. And then stack the rib cage right over the hips. Let the front ribs soften down any amount. Stack the skull bones on top of the ribs. Soften internally first and then inhale. Exhaling, curling down, pinky finger, fourth, middle, index, fold the thumb over, roll the fists down and reach from the center of your heart. You can play with where you get the most interesting sensation and experience here. Inhale, spreading the palms forward. Exhale, fold the thumb in, give the thumb a squeeze, and then roll the pinky edge of the hand down. Pausing, tracking sensation. Inhale, pressing like you're pressing two walls away, making space for your own heart. Exhale, pinky, next finger, taking all the time to curl down each finger individually, reaching from the center of the heart. Inhale, spread the palms forward. Exhale, fold the thumb in, give the thumb a squeeze, roll the pinky edge of the hands down, and then let the arms release down. And at this point, grabbing your strap or towel or object, and then from here, stretching the arms up, grabbing onto your object, coming a little bit wider than shoulders with distance. Inhale. And then on exhale, bending one elbow behind the head, the other arm reaches out. You could come into a bit of a twist here. And then begin breathing in a way that helps you to come into this curiosity of how do we work with these deeper themes of nourishing a hidden part of ourself that needs attention through movement, through breath. And just letting whatever part of that makes sense today be enough. If there's tension building up, you can exhale through the mouth. And then taking that in any fashion that feels interesting, changing it in any way, letting the breath lead and the physical body follow, which can help us work with this self-nurturing discipline when we're letting the energy body be the priority as opposed to some physical agenda. And then when you're ready, you can come to a pause and take a couple of listening breaths, sensing what did that do? Being in this listening place with your spot, with yourself. And then from here, we'll come into Dandasana, staff pose. I'm going to adjust my camera to my mat here. And coming into a seated pose with legs straight. And you have tightness in the hips. Sometimes sitting up on a blanket can help you come out of a rounding in the back, so you can play with that adaptation. And then in Dandasana, get the outer edges of the feet parallel. Kick through the heels, spread through the toes. Bring the hands next to the torso. And then the option that we're gonna come through here is knee pile or half knee pile. And if you have your strap or your towel, that's also gonna be a good tool here. So if you're in a full knee pile, bending both knees and seeing where are the knees willing to stack. And if it's better for your hips, you can keep the left leg straight. Once you're there, we're gonna come into archer arms. So taking one hand behind the head or the upper back, in this case, right hand. So you can grab a hold of your prop or clothing. The left hand, thumb is reaching down, getting a hold of your prop, and then coming into this place like you're waiting for your beloved guest. Welcoming them with the quality of your breathing, being curious about what your visit will be like with this person. In this case, it's you. Take a big breath into the right shoulder and then wrap the bicep towards the ear and reach the elbow up, making space in the shoulder. Keep both sit bones very grounded, pressing sit bones down to get tall through the spine. Take another breath into left shoulder, and then any amount, contract the left shoulder and shoulder blade down the back. And then from there, gently release the bind, coming back through Dandasana, sitting on sit bones, lengthening the thigh bones away from the hips, getting that move here so we can get the most out of every pose to make space internally. And then from here, either full knee pile, right knee on bottom, left knee on top, seeing where those knees willing to stack, or keeping the right leg straight. Getting on both sit bones, pressing them down to find this ground force action to get tall. And then the left arm is gonna go behind the head or the upper back. Spin the right thumb to the ground, and then getting a hold of clothing or prop. And then welcoming this particular form of nutrition, thinking of these poses as nutrients. Breathing in a focused way into left shoulder. On exhale, wrap the bicep towards the ear. Reach left shoulder for the sun. Inhale into the right shoulder. Exhale, contract right shoulder and shoulder blade down. Easier for me to follow that cue, it sounds like, reaching for the sun. And then stay. Feeling how staying and flowing are both essential skills. Noticing your tendency to lean towards one or the other. And then unwind the arm bind, come back through Dandasana. Give yourself a couple breaths here, kicking through the heels, spreading the toes, shoulders down, ribs stacked, soften the front ribs in and down. And then from here, let's come into a side bend. So we'll take our side bend in Baddha Konasana. So feet together, and we'll keep coming into that ground force action. Pressing down to get tall, pressing the feet together to wake up the fascial lines and meridians in the legs. And then from there, take the right hand out onto tented fingertips. Squeeze a little bit towards fingertips towards each other. And then flatten the palm, shoulder and shoulder blade moves down. Lift the ribs. Left pinky finger wraps in to stabilize the shoulder girdle. And then play with a little bit of forward and back. So you find a sweet spot where you're opening the chest without popping out the front ribs and disengaging the core. And then we'll come into our neck release. Flip the palm, sensing the arm moving through space, hovering the hand, shoulder down, stretching right ear towards right shoulder. Keep getting the shoulder and the shoulder blade down. And here you can stay, or you can play with some small nurturing movements. See what feels better for your neck. Keep reaching through the arm, keep the feet dynamic so that you're making space and aliveness in the hip. And then cradle your head. Give the 10 or so pounds of your head to your hand. Pause. Breathe in on exhale. Put your head back up on top of your spine. Sense that. And then we'll take it to the other side. Hand comes out. Find tented fingertips. Grab onto the mat a bit and then flatten the palm. Press the ground away. Shoulder down. Shoulder blade down. Sweep the arm up. Wrapping shoulder blade. Pinky finger spins in. And you can do the unwrap it and then wrap it. It took me, I'm 10 years into this move and I'm still sometimes like, what's that mean? So giving yourself grace with the specificity of these moves and time to play with it and not know. Opening chest, keeping the front ribs softening down, finding that balance. Feeling for washing the breath through the whole back body here in your side bend. Sensing everything that's come before that's supported you in your practice, that's gotten you here. Flip the palm, moving your arm in a way that you feel the air moving around the hand. And then coming into stretching the neck open, exhaling in a way that plays with what helps you to be in this relationship with this work of welcoming and befriending yourself on your mat today. And then cover your ear, pause. Feel the contact with your palm if that's an okay move for you right now. And then put your head back up. Take a feeling breath. Unlocking the hips, pour the weight onto the right hip, getting a hold of the left thigh, and then sense the movement of the thigh bone away from the hip. So again, depending, it's accessible or not for many of us, and just having a chance to be curious, be in a learning mode. Plug the sit bone back down strongly, keep grounding the hip, and then take the hand to the inner thigh, close up to the hip point. Take the opposite hand back behind about 16 inches. And then feel for the abdominals lengthening here. Inhale, lift the ribs, pressing down and away onto the inner thigh. And there's a nice resistance move I like to do here sometimes is press the thigh back into the hand into thigh, let some resistance build, and then let the movement of the thigh resisting let go. And then also tease the front ribs in, lifting chest and then softening. So you're coming into a bit of spinal flexion, rounding, chest up. And then see, how does the spine relate to the hips and pelvis? Physically, energetically. And then from there, let's take that to the other side, coming back to center, sit down to get tall. Pour the weight onto one hip, on whichever side you didn't do yet. I'm on the left. Hold on to the thigh. So you can take more of a massaging action if that feels nurturing, or a tractioning action, lengthening the whole leg away from the hip. And then plug the sit bone back down. Hand goes all the way up to the, what we would call ASIS, the front hip point. Opposite hand back behind. And then again, sense, what is your feeling capacity in the space from front hip point to low ribs as you lengthen? Pressing down and away, often those parts of self that need nurturance, that need visibility, live in that area. If you want to try that resistance move again, press hand into thigh, thigh back into hand, let some resistance build, and then let it go. Check out your jaw, that will affect what's going on in the pelvis. And then come on back up. Let's take a twist before we head to the back. So sitting down, lift the pubic bone. So you're getting a bit more of what we would call tucking tailbone reaching down, pubic bone lifting up. And then keep with your very first edge. So you're not coming from a goal of a picture of a twist you've seen. What helps you inhabit the space between low ribs and pubic bone? Shoulders soft. For today's purpose, keeping chin over sternum. as if you had a yoga block, one of the lighter yoga blocks on your head, lifting up by sitting down strongly. And take any movements that help you to let the head find a sweet spot where gravity pulls on the neck the least. Feel into your eyes. Coming back to center. Inhale, telescope ribs. Exhale, coming to your very first edge in your twist. Pouring the breath down so you're sensing into the spine and the torso. And then come on back to center. Take a feeling breath. So I'd say about half or more than half of you are familiar with tadpole. I hopefully can show this accurately on the video. So it's a combination of half frog. So frog pose has the legs at a 90-degree angle, straddle is straight. If it's not clear, you can come into whatever feels the most useful. So we're going to come into frog, inhale into the back bottom ribs, curl pubic bone, and then on exhale, elbows are going to reach straight up. One leg is going to straddle, so my left leg is straddling, my right leg is staying in front. I'm going to inhale, come down a little bit. Exhale, I'm going to curl pubic bone, elbows reach up, right leg straightens. Coming back to center, head and chest comes down, help the knees back together. So first, let's come on down to the back, feet underneath knees. Arms are wherever is the most comfortable. You could take a few breaths with the hands on the torso to help you ground into this section of the practice. And first we're going to do some transverse abdominal contractions. So TBA is a deep, like a bodybuilder belt of abdominals below the quote unquote six-pack muscles, the vertical muscles of rectus abdominis. So from here, you could place the hands onto the lower torso. Inhale, ground the back bottom ribs. Exhale, press the right foot into the ground. Pick the left knee up over the hip and engage the abs. Inhale, back ribs broaden and stay connected. Exhale, right knee picks up, low belly pulls in. And then keep going at your own pace here. Broadening rib cage, exhale, press right foot into the ground, left knee comes up, foot is active, knee is over hip. And then sensing how the fluid approach to this might change the sense of doing abs, quote unquote, the seriousness. From here, come back to center, take a pause. And then from here, we're gonna come into that tadpole that I demoed. If that just seems like it's not where you're headed for yourself, you can stay with this. This is awesome, right? Stay with this. If you're gonna come into tadpole, interlace your hands behind the base of your skull bones. Wrap the elbow tips towards the ceiling, and then pick both feet up off the floor. Shins are parallel to the floor, and then open the knees into frog. So come to your very first edge, not jamming into the hips. The knee point is aligned to ASIS, the front hip point, the feet are active. Relax the neck, and then curl up. Again, relax the neck. Head rests into the hands like a cradle with your elbows reaching up. And then find your back bottom ribs. Inhale, broaden the kidney area onto the floor. On exhale, pubic bone curls towards navel, elbows reach up, and then the left leg straightens into straddle. Reach the thigh bone away from the hip. If you're near a wall, it can be awesome to use a wall to give you an anchor to reach for something. It might take a little setting up yourself. Come back to center. Inhale, back bottom ribs. Exhale, curl pubic bone, elbows reach up. Right leg straightens. Move the thigh bone away from the hip. Low abs engaged. Come down a couple of inches. Inhale. Exhale. Curl pubic bone. Elbows reach out. Left leg straightens. Again, strong reach through the inner leg and the outer leg. Low abs engage. Inhale to center. Head and chest comes down a bit. Exhale. Curl pubic bone. Elbows reach out. Straighten out through the right leg. Low belly pulls in. Reach through inner leg and outer leg. Inhale back to center. Exhale, curl pubic bone, elbows reach up, unlocking the shoulders and the hips as you straighten that left leg, move the thigh bone away from the hip. Inhale to center. Exhale, curl pubic bone, elbows reach up, right leg straightens into straddle, low belly pulls in. Come back through your frog, head and chest comes down, help the legs back together, feet come down. And then either find stillness or windshield wiper the thigh bone, see what feels better. Maybe take a little bit of both. And then from here, we'll do one more. Elbow to knee with the inner legs together. So you can either bring both knees up over the hips, inner legs together. If that is too much on your back, the feet can stay on the ground. Interlace your hands in the opposite way of what you did on the first side. And then curl the head and chest up. Relax the head into your hands. Inhale, broaden the back ribs. And then from there, squeeze inner legs. On exhale, both elbows reach to the right. If both feet are lifted, straighten your left leg. Pull the low belly down. If your feet are down, pick one foot up. Low belly pulls in. And then from there, come back to center. Inhale. Squeeze inner legs together. Reach the knees straight up to the ceiling if the feet are lifted. On exhale, both elbows reach left. Straighten through the right leg. If both feet are down, pick up the right foot. Left foot stays down. Low belly pulls in. Inhale to center. Squeeze inner legs together. Reach the knees up. Exhale, elbows reach right. Straighten through the left leg. Move the thigh bone away from the hip. Low belly pulls in. We're going to add a move here. Take the right ankle. Press the bony part of the ankle onto the left calf. Press, press, press. Curl up a second time. Pull the low belly down. Inhale, bend both knees. Squeeze inner legs. Curl tailbone. Knees reach up. Exhale, elbows reach left. If you can get off the left shoulder, do that. Straighten through the right leg. Low belly pulls in. Press the ankle and the calf together. Curl up a second time. Low belly pulls in. We'll come through one more round. Inhale to center. Squeeze inner legs. Reach the knees up. Exhaling, elbows reach right. Straighten through the right leg. Spread through all the toes. Belly in. And then ankle presses the calf. Curl up a second time. Pull the low belly down. Inhale. Center, squeeze inner legs, knees reach up, exhale, elbows reach left, straighten through the right leg. Low belly pulls in. Ankle to calf, curl up a second time, low belly pulls in. Coming back, and then you could come into either feet together, knees wide, or knees together, feet wide. And then relax the abdominals, taking this perspective of taking the nutrients of your core work, the connection, the dynamic energy boost that you can get, whatever is true for you. The pleasant feeling of not doing it anymore. Let's come into a flowing bridge here. So I have a prop I'm going to use. I have a yoga block the wide way. You could grab your towel and squeeze the inner legs. You could do it without too, but if you're familiar with this version, I just want to offer it up, grabbing onto a prop. Feet underneath knees, and then the suggestion is bringing the outer edges of the feet parallel. I've been finding when my hips feel really congested, walking the feet a little bit ahead of the knees feels really a relief. So you might want to play with that if your hips are feeling congested. Prop or no prop, coming down, relaxing the upper torso as much as possible. And then coming into broadening across the back, bottom ribs, kidney area. Exhale, light squeeze on a prop if you have it. And then letting it be a very low bridge. Pressing into the heels, send the thigh bones forward. And then lower down, feeling the rib cage area, kidney area. And then keep going at your own pace. Let the breath lead. I like to inhale first and then pick the pelvis up on exhale, lowering down. And then letting the bridge grow as you feel ready, lifting the hips a bit higher so you start to get an opening in the front line, the quads, the hip flexors, the front line of the torso. Coming back to this way of welcoming yourself, waiting for yourself, this self-nurturing discipline. When you are ready, keep the hips lifted. Keep kicking the ground away and notice into the lower legs, the ground force action of pressing the ground away to wake up that response that you get in your tissues, in your energy body. And we'll do a round of Uddiyana, which is a breath practice. If you want to stay with easy, soft breathing, that is also a great thing to do. So choosing here, relaxing internally, inhaling until you're full, exhaling everything out. When you're empty, pull the belly back, lower down out of your pose, and then completely relax through the belly, filling all the way in, finding a new spot to access with your breath. And then keep accessing that spot as best you can. Keep your neck relaxed, rolling onto one side to come up to your tabletop. And then from here, press the ground away with hands and feet. Inhale across the back bottom ribs, nourishing kidneys and adrenals, and then lifting from kidneys and adrenals. Let the head go. Sit bones reach towards calves, belly towards spine. Inhale through neutral. So we'll just do the spinal flexion to start. Front ribs towards back ribs. And then let the breath lead. Change this in any fashion that feels good for your spot. Perhaps taking it into a full cat-cow. And then come back through your neutral spine. So we'll do a bit of work in the neck, seeing how the neck relates to the pelvis here. Inhale through your neutral spine. Exhale, sit the hips back, and then take the left ear to the left shoulder. Sometimes it can be nice to widen the knees more like a child's pose, toes towards each other, so you could do that. Inhale. Exhale, sit bones move towards heels, right ear towards right shoulder. And then keep going at your own pace here, sensing how you can keep the neck as fluid as possible as you're working with the whole body. When you're ready, come back through table. We're going to do a fluid turbo puppy. So hands come forward a hand's distance. Press the ground away. Shoulders away from the ears. Light bend, slight bend at the elbows. Squeeze the elbows towards each other and then look forward. Heart reaches forward. And then on exhale, straighten the arms. Feel for isolating the movement into the upper back. Press the ground away. Broaden the upper back with your breath. And then rebend the elbows. See if you want to take a deeper bend. Lots of things you could do here. Pulling hands towards knees, heart reaches forward, just like cobra. Straighten arms. Isolating the awareness into upper back, back of heart. Self-nurturing discipline, feeling into back of heart. Sensing what information is living there. And now flowing, keep going at your own pace, bending elbows. You could squeeze in your elbows like you have a beach ball there. Reach the heart forward, straighten the arms, press the ground away. And then from there, we're going to take this into turbo dog or turbo puppy. So again, hands come forward, hands with distance. This time it's definitely a slight bend of the elbows. Shoulders away from ears, elbows squeeze in. Option 1, you're already there. This is option 1, turbo puppy. Option 2, keep the elbows bent, keep the elbows hugging in, and begin to lift the hips. If it's too much in the shoulders, bring the knees back down. If it's not, keep using your lowest abs to pipe the hips up and back. And then from here, straightening the arms, walking feet towards hands or hands to feet, whichever way you end up in Uttanasana, forward fold. Bring the outer edges of the feet parallel. If your neck needs some love, interlace your hands, give your neck a squeeze and perhaps some movement. Or take any other variation, holding inner elbows. And then from there, take the L shape of your index finger and thumb, press into the hip hinge, engage the low abs, come up with a flat back. And then come into Tadasana, find your frontal hip point and the back crest of the hips. And as best you can, even those two. And just notice what your tendency, my tendency is to bring the back into an overarch, so I have to bring that back hip point down. And then we'll take a flow that combines this classical suns with some other things here. So chair pose. You can either keep the feet at hips width distance or bring them a bit closer. See what feels more stable and pleasant. Sitting into an imaginary chair, sweeping the arms forward to start. Thumbs to the ceiling. Breathing into back body, sensing the conversation between shoulders and hips here. And then bringing the torso up any amount. From there, straighten the legs, coming back into Uttanasana, forward fold. Let the head hang, look towards the navel, and then coming into halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana. Hands press on the shins, heart reaches forward. So it's like cobra. You can even pull the hands up the shins to get that cobra action. Heart reaches forward. Exhale, step back into your plank. And then deciding here is knees up or knees down, more interesting and useful. Press the ground away, kick through the heels, and then knees up or knees down, lower down with control. Bring the elbows next to the ribs. Lift each leg, reach back, roll the inner thigh to the ceiling so the quads are squarely on the ground. Press the tops of the feet into the ground. And then from here, we'll come into very low cobra push-ups. Hands at side ribs. Legs are solidly rooted. Pull the hands towards the feet. You can let this grow just like our bridge. Reach the heart forward to come down. Pull hands towards feet. Keep going at your own pace. Get curious about what is your self-nurturing discipline in these back bends. And then pause. Coming into crocodile, take a feeling breath. Use the contact of belly to earth to come into feeling. Hands under shoulders, press the ground away to come through into downward facing dog. If you're new to down dog, hands come forward to hands with distance. Curl the toes under, lift the hips, press the ground away with the hands. And you can keep the knees bent here. And let's come into a three-legged dog. So step the feet a bit closer. And with a lot of focus, lift the left leg. And then from there, keep the hips square for now. Bend the knee, pulse the heel towards the ceiling, and then begin to open the hip. Sensing that external rotation and the effects of it, and then breathe in a way that guides your movement choices here. Notice if there's some automatic thing you always do, and maybe that's great because it feels good, or maybe today you try something different. And then from there, just straighten the leg. Lengthen thigh bone away from hip, lowering down. Other side, press the ground away with both hands, keeping the chest engaged. Lift the leg with a lot of focus, kick through the leg. Keep the hips square to start, bend the knee, pulse the heel up, so you're getting the hamstring insertion and low glutes, and then see where you want to go here. Sensing into hip and low back relationship. And then straighten the leg, lengthen thigh bone away from hip to lower down. And then from here, we're gonna come into lunge. So left leg is stepping forward. You can pad the knee or fold the mat in if you need more padding. And then from there, sense where your hips willing to go. Maybe you wanna stay up in like 290-degree angles. Maybe the hips can come a bit forward. Play with it. Once you decide, press into both feet, lift the pubic bone, and then we'll come into bird wing. So palms are facing up. Take a big breath in, expanding the ribs. And then on exhale, the forearms are gonna move away from each other. The elbows pin in and the shoulders stay down. Inhale to stage one. Exhale, forearms move out, elbows hug in, shoulders down. Let's go through one more. Inhale, exhale. And then bring the hands down. Coming into brain cradling, wrap the hands around the base of skull bones, elbows reach forward. Getting a sense of making space in the hips and the shoulders simultaneously while you're supporting the neck here. Feeling into the whole front line after doing all this support to have grounding, to have the back body, opening the front body. And we'll come through one more pose on this side. Again, choice point, maybe both legs stay down. We're gonna come into a twist. Option to curl the toes under and straighten the leg. Or knee down. From there, hands come together, chest up, come forward. Either elbow outside the thigh, connecting the hands, either fist, blanket, or prayer hands, or opening arms. And then going inside, sensing how do you use this twist in service of welcoming yourself. Notice, can you go inside to find a more space to keep breathing? Sometimes the back bottom ribs are more available. The belly's pretty busy here. When you're ready, unwind your twist. Options. You could come at any time into child's pose, sitting back. You could come into down dog, or if you have a practice where you know a vinyasa here, you could come through plank and up dog. So either way, meeting up in downward facing dog. In your down dog, pressing into the ground, giving some energy to the earth, feeling how the earth gives you energy back. And we'll take that vignette on the other side. Coming into lunge, right leg comes forward. And then sensing where your hips willing to go today. And then once you're there, coming into bird wing, palms facing up. See where you can broaden across collarbones. Inhale, lift ribs, press the ground away. Elbows pin in as the arms come out, shoulder blades come down. Inhale to stage one. Exhale, forearms come out, elbows pin in, shoulder down, shoulder blades down. Inhale to stage one. Exhale, forearms move out, elbows pin in, shoulders down, shoulder blades down. And then from there, whichever side you didn't do, interlace the opposite way. And if it's true for you, sensing this nurturing quality, you're literally cradling your own brain. For a lot of us doing transformational work, that's where a lot of the places live that we're working on connecting to and healing. Feeling for all of the fascial lines that you have open that are bringing you to this pose. Reaching elbow tips for the ceiling and the sky, pressing into the feet. Lifting the pubic bone to bring that awareness into the front line. And then from there, unwind your brain cradling, bring the hands back through the midline, and then choose. You can either keep that back knee down or curl the toes under, kick through the leg. And then second choice point is in your twist, you can either open the arms, bring the hand onto a prop or the ground, or you can bring the elbow outside the thigh. And then once you're there, sensing if you're using a mat, how this rectangle of space is your palette to organize your body in space, and wait for yourself. What is here for me in sensation, in awareness? Lowering the lifted arm or unhooking the hands. Same choice, either coming through plank and a final vinyasa for today, or coming right into child's pose, sitting the hips back, or down dog. And then from there, gently placing the knees down, really paying attention to this energetic shift onto the back. Giving weight over. And then picking the feet up, bringing knees towards chest. And we'll finish with happy baby. So you can either reach for the feet. If that causes struggle in the neck and shoulders, reach for the knees. And then playing with flow and stillness. Doing a bit of both in your happy baby. And when you are ready, lengthening your limbs. Sometimes in Shavasana, I can find, if my back is feeling okay with it, coming into a very wide stance, letting the limbs be wide to highlight this horizontal axis that we're surrendering to. Letting yourself come into this pose that is about letting go and honoring whatever rate that is available to you. So that you can uptake all of these nutrients and feed this part of yourself that needs nourishing. Begin to bring your attention to the sensation of the breath. And sending the breath prana, the breath energy, to this part of yourself that you've been in, this embodied dharana, this embodied contemplation with, and sensing the power of doing this both solo, in community, and the extraordinary quality of sangam, of spiritual community. Taking all the time you need, rolling yourself onto one side if you're not already. Pressing yourself up to a seat, taking all the time you need. Finding your sit bones and spreading through the toes, pressing down to grow up like a plant looking towards the sun. And just sensing your access to presence and feeling, congratulating yourself for taking the time for this self-nurturing discipline. And if you like, bringing the hands to touch to seal our time together. Thank you all so much. See you soon. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Karuna.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Pleasure.
Thank you all
So much.
Thanks, Marianne.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Love seeing your sunny skies.
Oh my goodness. Yes, me too.
Karuna,
Yes.
when you invited us to bring recognize ourselves as a guest, you know who came? That's precisely the moment she came to the mat.
She's the wisest of the wise,
Yeah.
the most tuned in.
Yep.
Our four-legged friends and our small friends are the best.
She does.
Less thinking, more
Monday. Oh, they are the best.
Yay, Pei.
Have a good day, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you, Karuna. Bye.
Bye. Bye, Lisa.